And I will not be live streaming. This will just be recorded, and then I'll upload it after.
Okay.
That's reasonable.
All right. So Kate put in her vote as best she could. She's just way too sick, so we'll
Hmm.
she put that in as best she could, but she's quite miserable. So everybody well wishing to her.
Absolutely.
She's had a rough go of it. She and her mother got caught in that hurricane when it hit North Carolina and all of that. They had to
Oh,
move.
jeez.
Yeah, yeah, they've had a rough time. All right. Who wants? Are we ready to call this? Let's see. We've got John, Brooke,
We've got 8.
John, Daniel, Kip,
Oh, we
Elizabeth.
got 9 now.
Who's okay? And that fellow jitster, that's Katie. So
Hello, I'm the black box.
yeah, Emily won't be able to make it, but she in absentia put some comments. She felt like she was enough out of the loop. She didn't feel comfortable making an operational vote, but I asked her to still give us advisory, and so I put her comments over by vote number 4 because that was the closest match to her comments. So it's not an official vote, but it's at least her comments related to that. And Kate put in her votes, I should say. So she'd be under KH, Kate Hyatt, and so we've got that. Okay. So yeah, if you already have an opinion and you feel comfortable putting your vote in there, go ahead. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and call the meeting order, go through our quick initial stuff, and then we'll get to the voting. We want to get to the voting as early as possible for our East Coast folks and for others who can't stay too long. Um, and we'll see how that goes, and then we'll decide from there what we're going to do next, depending upon how that vote goes. So I'm asking to call the meeting to order. Do I have a second?
You have a second.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Let's go ahead with our attendee roll call here. So let's see. Nicholas Anderson, not here, right?
Nope, absent.
Okay. John Degler, he is here.
Yes. Elizabeth
So,
Giller
John,
is
you don't
here.
need to write out absent. You just need to put under attended, yes or no.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yes, I am here, and I'm down in the spreadsheet as non-voting.
No,
Which
you should be voting.
that's what I thought.
Where does
Yeah.
it say non-voting?
I'm just gonna change that.
Where the heck does it say?
In the voting column, it says "N" for me.
Oh, that sheet's out of date. Okay, yeah, we're updating as we go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we already had updated on the list where it does say you're voting from the last one.
Okay.
But yeah, this sheet needs to be updated as we go through roll call. Okay, David Griffith is a no. William Hawks Robinson is a yes. Brian Huseland is a no. Kate Hyatt, no. Sig, correct. Daniel Ivy is a yes. Valerie Couple is a no. Katie Coonan is a yes. Brooke Lively is a yes. Emily Messina is a no. But provided advisory comments in absentia. John Walker's a yes. Daniel Whitworth, I thought she actually had said yes to showing up. Was there a...
She said she would try.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let me look at the calendar invite here. Where's all the people?
I sent my the my notes to to you and John, but they didn't get added to the
Well,
the
add
vice
them to
president's
the
report didn't get added.
add them to the main. Copy paste them into the main document under your section.
I'm doing that right now.
Okay. All right. So let's see the people invited. Yes. Okay. Valerie said she would attend. So not sure what's going on there. Anthony said no. Sean, yeah. Joe, Shane. These are all people I expected. And we have a whole bunch of people who didn't respond. So that is what it is. All right. But we've got enough for our quorum vote and all of that, so that's good at least. All right. And is there anybody I missed as far as the roll call that's here? I think we got
I
everybody.
don't think so.
Okay, good. All
Game
right,
of
You
the
get me?
Dragon.
we got Elizabeth, we got Kip, we got
Okay.
Yep.
Katie, we got everybody. All right. So current board members: Hawk is the chair, voting member; Brooke, vice chair, voting member; John, board of directors, voting member; Danielle, board of directors, voting member, not here this time; Kate, board of directors, voting member, is absent due to illness; Emily, board of directors, advisory, voting member; Nicholas, voting member; Daniel, voting member; Valerie Kreppel, voting member; John Degler, voting member; Elizabeth Geller, voting member; and Kip Hostel, voting member. Executive staff: I'm acting as the president, CEO, founder, executive director. John is VP, co-founder. Danielle Whitworth is co-founder. Katie Coonan's a co-founder. Kate Hyatt, treasurer. Nicholas Anderson, IT director. Kip as the volunteer coordinator director. Elizabeth Geller as the director. And we still don't have a fundraising community outreach director since Ari was dropped. Are there any other executives roles that are missing there?
John secretary.
What's that?
John the secretary is.
JD.
Oh yeah, the secretary. Yeah, thank you. So, thank you. Anybody else? This is we're just updating the list right now. So, any other executive roles I forgot that are missing from there? I'm going to go ahead and go to screen share here so that we're on the same page. Everybody see that okay?
I see you.
I see black.
I see it fine.
I see it fine.
Oh, okay. I see it.
Okay. All right. So, any others executive roles that are missing, or roles that we need filled? We'll have to come back on that, but let me know if you need anything out of there. All right. JD, have you had a chance to go through the? Is this the meeting minutes from last meeting? Doesn't say.
The meeting minutes from last meeting are in the meeting
Okay,
agenda.
so this is our new.
Yeah, this is the new one.
Okay,
So
John, the executive report shouldn't go here. That needs to go later. There's a separate section for you after the voting. It says Vice President Report. So after voting, there's Treasurer, Community Outreach, Vice President Report. That's where you need to put all that info. If you could please.
That was Mel. She opened the door herself.
John, did you get that?
What's that?
John Welker.
Oh, sorry.
The executive director reporting, that whole section should be down in the VP section, not in the minutes.
Okay. I didn't do any executive director reporting, so I just You want me to cut and paste that? Is that what you're saying?
Move your report down after the vote. There's a section for vice president for your
Because my
report.
report is in the vice president report area.
Oh, that is it? Oh, then what? I'm
I don't know
confused.
who wrote the executive report. Wasn't me.
Is this? Well, this is probably carryover from the last one then. All right. Well, then I'm going to delete that then if you don't need that.
Okay. I mean, that's some new information, but it'll also be in my stuff.
Never mind. That's my report. Never mind. Whee! All right, off to a good start. Never mind. That's my notes.
Well, I'm glad somebody wrote it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. So quick, because we're going to be voting on this. After 6 years at Spark Central, they suddenly shut down our program at Spark Central. Reportedly, it was because the board of directors decided it was causing brand dilution. I tried to get a hold of people there to fill me in, and they've been dodging all my calls. John, have you had any luck talking to anybody there since?
I haven't heard a single word since.
Yeah, I reached out through email and phone and have just been given the runaround, and I haven't had time to go in person. So that was really unfortunate. We had such a great relationship. I think Wilson was totally surprised by it, but
If it means anything, I bumped into Wilson at Yokes, I
Yeah.
want to say a month or two back.
yeah.
And I mean, we're cordial, but it felt like it was an awkward thing, and I didn't try to push anything in terms of, the relationship between RPG and research because I didn't feel like it was my place to speak on it either on the listening or on the presenting side.
All right. Well, you are a
But
voting
he
board
did.
member, so you would have been well within your rights.
Oh, I understand that,
But I understand you
but
didn't feel comfortable doing it.
yeah.
Now, just as a note for John, who's writing this little note here, is that we are or were the last third-party provider to be working with them. The other third-party providers all got knocked out 5 years ago, and we were the only ones left.
I think that was about 3 years ago, but yeah. About midway through, they killed off every program but ours. We were the only one to survive because they were going for more adult programming because there was more money in it. So,
Well, adults do tend to have more money.
yeah, kind of. Anyway, so we don't know. Anyway, that's really sad. We haven't replaced it yet. John wants me to get down and meet with the guy over in Hilliard. What's his name, John?
I'd have to look that up right now, but it's Bear Totem.
Yeah, Bear Totem. But he's a commercial. It's a bar, right?
It does serve alcohol, but he's there for providing gaming space.
Right, but it's a commercial gaming space, right? He charges
Yes.
for it. Yeah,
And he's not charging us.
I understand, but he charges people to come participate.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's all. I'm just making that clear. That's all. And I just haven't had a chance to make it down because web TPAs have me working 100 hours a week, and I just haven't had any free time. Especially Monday through Friday, I'm just completely tied up. But yeah, that's something we're going to look at if we continue on. Last minute fundraising right now is not an option. If we do continue on, we really need to find somebody who can really own the fundraising and community outreach. The only time it was really growing there when I was putting a lot of energy into it, but when I haven't put a lot of energy into it ever since we lost Ari, it just hasn't really gone anywhere. And I just don't have any bandwidth as long as I have to keep working tech to pay the bills. So right now we no longer have any of our community programs running. Daniel, JD, Elizabeth, and Kip have been practicing so we can resume our online community program if we go that route. They've been getting ready to do that, so that's been ongoing. But we just haven't, right now we have no active community programs since Spark Central shut down. We don't have anything in the libraries, the schools, Parks and Rec, game stores, other community centers. None of them are running at this point. RPG Mobile, that's been shut down for a while for money and staffing reasons. Trailers have just been sitting at the center. And at my house has been shut down for various reasons as well. and as I said, the online programs out there. Yeah, JD's been kept very busy. JD, how's your business doing? Just very briefly.
I'm a year and a half in. Everything's seems to be doing okay. It could be doing better. It could be worse. Um, and we're doing Friday Night Magic tonight. So far, we've got what I'm looking at about 8 in the store. We should get another 6 to 8 for the evening.
I can't help but think of Gamers 3 when you say that.
Yeah. And I've got a part timer that helps me out, but otherwise, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'd love for you and I to catch up at some point when we get a chance.
Absolutely.
Okay, the RPG Center Community Center lease expires March 5th, 2025. We don't have the means to extend it because the rent's going to go up from $2,500 a month to $3,000 a month minimum, and we just haven't even been able to cover donations. Have not even covered our property taxes, or our insurance, or our utilities, let alone rent. Basically, our donations are about $100 a month at this point, not counting my, donations, etc. Which, again, that's still $1,200. That's every bit helps, but a far cry from the 50 grand or so minimum that we need just to operate at the center. So yesterday, I had to notify the landlord because it was the 5th and I needed to give him 90 days notice that we would not be extending the lease. And he brought up that we still need to pay all the property taxes for the past 3 years that we've not been receiving. He's been getting all the mail for that, and we've not been receiving it, and we've kept requesting it. That will be somewhere between $12,000 to $16,000 in property taxes. That right now looks like it's probably going to have to come out of my own pocket somehow, which I don't have yet. Hey, Valerie, welcome. All right, add Valerie to the attendance list there, please. So that's something. We've got rent covered, we've got utilities covered to the end of the lease, but now I've got to come up with another 12 to 16 grand for the property taxes. I don't know the total amount yet, but he's going to get me that information as soon as possible. Remember, our landlord is a lawyer, and we want to be very careful with him. He's really treated us well, but things could go south really fast if we don't dot all the I's and cross all the T's. I've asked for him to give me a checklist of what he'd like to see for our transition out, and I told him we'd start packing and moving out the beginning of January, and that would be fully moved out, everything cleaned up and ready for the new tenant in far better condition than when we moved in by the end of February. So that's going to be our window to really start to hustle on moving wherever we go. And then, officially we have to be off the property by March 5th, but really we just need to be off by the end of February and call that good. So we really need to do a really good job of separating, no matter what we do, we need to clearly separate, and John had started that process, and as well as Kip, separating what property is owned by whom, because if we have to liquidate or something like that, we need to be really clear about what's going where. So everything's got to be really clearly separated. Then start, packing. So we got to do that this month, get everything really clearly separated, and then start packing and labeling very, very carefully. Once that's all done, then in January, because we have to figure out storage or liquidation or whatever we're doing. I mean, some of the stuff's coming back to my house because it's my own personal belongings, but for the other stuff, we'll have to figure it out. But basically, we can keep operating there up until the last week of February if we need to. Just get down to the bare bones. And then there's a big question if we are going to continue, what next? So, donations have all but dried up. We get about $1,200 a year to work with right now. We used to operate pretty steadily at about $5 grand a year and do a fair amount. $1,200 is enough to keep our online presence, and that's about it. Any physical presence is pretty much impossible for that amount. And I want to make sure we also look at BCI RPG as a potentially separate thing to consider, because it's a very different beast. We also have to consider what happens with the RPG Museum collection, and especially the Paul Cardwell Bequeathed collection. And then we have to figure out if we're going to liquidate and such, what happens to the RPG research owned properties, like the RPG kits and such. So, before I start running down through the votes, anybody want to talk about things for a bit? The floor is open for discussion before we do the vote. John Welker, you want to start with you?
Okay.
Actually, I believe JD has had his hand up for a
Oh,
bit.
sorry, I didn't see it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, JD.
I was just wondering, once we clear out of the community center, are we able to go back to having online programs with people from out of state and have them insured?
Well, we
'Cause I know
already
that was a problem.
we already voted a couple of times back that we weren't going to worry about that anymore. So we were already going to
Okay.
go online.
Okay, gotcha.
It was only a problem because of the property. It was an issue. We never
Yeah.
had to worry about it previously.
Yeah, I know. That's
So
why I
yes,
was asking.
we'd already decided the online program, we weren't going to worry about that.
Gotcha. Okay.
For a little context,
Yes.
I've attempted to contact the previous online volunteers, and they're just unavailable.
Yeah, we'll have
They've
to.
moved on.
Yeah, we'll have to. Yeah, that's what happens. You lose volunteers; it's hard to get them back.
Yeah.
With exceptions like Valerie and Kip and others and Elizabeth who have come back, but that's usually what happens. It's a momentum thing. When you have volunteers, if you lose momentum, you usually lose your volunteers. And then what you do is you just have to, if you're going to continue, you just have to get new volunteers. They're always out there. When I was volunteer recruiting, I was bringing in 10 or 20 or 30 a month or two when I was really focused with John and Danielle vetting. We cranked up like 35 people in 3 months. So it's entirely possible to ramp back up if we're focused on it. That's not an option right now, but it is always possible to reboot. That's just, you have to just realize that's what you have to do, is basically start over. With whoever you have, and of course you can always learn from before. But anyway, JD, any other questions on that?
No, that was all. Thank you.
Okay. Was there anybody else that had their hand up before John Welker?
Yeah. A lot for emotional and other reasons. Vote number one. I just cannot give it any positive statement towards the concept of shutting everything down completely.
Okay.
I think RPG research needs to continue, and without going down each one of the votes, restarting, but continuing with the talk shows and everything else, that I'm trying to get back up, and vote number 4, close mostly down, but we basically resumed back with the way we were before we bought the property.
Right.
The biggest hurdles to that is whether or not you will have time to restart training.
Yep. And, well, the biggest hurdle is actually space and my availability, yes. Those are the two big hurdles. Where a space to do all that and my availability to restart training. I agree.
So, but that's my vote. That's where I would like to be seeing that, we restart in 2025, but we, at the very least, continue talk shows and in-person gaming as soon as possible. We have 3 people that can run gaming at Bear Totem.
Okay. Well, and where we run that'll be once we decide what our fate is, then we can go ahead and do votes and discussions about that. So that's good. Anything else you want to say before I open the floor to others?
No.
Okay. Who would like to go next? All right, Daniel.
Okay, so I know that you and me and Kip had a conversation a couple of days ago,
Yes.
and I feel when it comes to all of this, I feel like there's a massive, just kind of like series of elephants in the room where um how should I put it? The fate of RPG research is very much tied to your well-being and Katie's well-being. And
Yes.
as much as I love working with all of you guys, I don't ever want to sacrifice the well-being of either you or Katie because of an organization. That
Okay.
said, for for you guys' well-beings, you guys need to be stable. And for you, Hawk, I know that tech tech dehumanizes you.
Yes.
You've admitted it, and for anyone who's been around you, we have seen it.
Yes.
Yes.
So I feel like the faster we can get you stable and healthy, the better both of you will be. And for that, I feel like an emphasis needs to be on RPG therapeutics, less on trying to get I know that you've mentioned that the scalability of us teaching is greater, but is much greater than having clients. But that would still require you getting past the bottleneck of grading the book. I feel like, well, I don't feel like the book is going to be completed anytime soon because of the amount of things that are currently weighing you down.
Okay.
I feel like if uh, if RPG therapeutics can just have, if we can focus on just getting some clients up, you being paid. I know that you've before not been paid. I want to make sure that you're bringing enough income so that you and Katie are stable.
Yeah. And I
What?
did. I was before things took a decline last year. I was starting to be able to pay myself.
Right.
Right. So I always made sure you guys were paid and the bills were paid, and there was always extra to coffers, and then a lot was going to support RPG research. But for a
Hmm.
while there, when things were going well at both the nonprofit and the for-profit, the LLC didn't need to donate more than 20% of profits. So then I was able to pay myself, and that was getting better. And then things started going south everywhere last summer, and so then all of the LLC money has been going into making sure you guys are paid and the business kept open, and propping up the RPG research. And then eventually those coffers got depleted, and then this year, it's been all coming out of my pocket working tech to pay out to keep RPG research afloat. But
Right.
the math on the LLC does work in both supporting the nonprofit and supporting. There's 9 employees, including myself. um, the math works. Other than we made a clerical mistake on administrative overhead with that one client, which killed
Yeah.
our profits. That's the only time the LLC's ever run in the red. It's always run in the black, meaning it's always been profitable. I just
So
was cautious with it. So yes, there
yeah.
is there is that possibility, and
So
that's a
from my
method for
standpoint,
supporting. And that's the original model I had 10 years ago, which I didn't really like going begging for money. So I was just using the money from the LLC to build the nonprofit. And
Hawk,
yes,
Hawk.
yes.
Dan had a second point. Why don't we let
Sorry.
him finish his thought?
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. So in regards to RPG research, my personal perspective, emotions aside, and thinking just holistically, strategically, the faster RPG research can get you and Katie stable in terms of getting RPG therapeutics, back in the black. I think that's what I'm focused on right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that I also know that for us to be able to scale RPG therapeutics, we do need RPG research because
Yeah.
we can't train people. We can't pay people to train them over the course of time that we need. That's one of the things that RPG research is for.
Yeah.
So just logistically speaking, RPG research has to stick around for that, but that's only if RPG therapeutics is going to be viable.
Right. Yeah, there's an
Yeah.
interdependency between the two companies.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty much my stance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for so that's all really helpful and useful. For did you go ahead and vote on the 6 different ones? Because remember, you can all vote on each one separately. You don't have to like just pick one. You can vote yes and no, other abstain, other on each one. So did you have a chance to do that?
I've voted on most of them.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out on the others.
Okay.
And I'm going to have to step off for a bit to
Okay.
sign off. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Who would like to go next? Floor is open.
Dan verbalized a lot of what I have been thinking a lot better than I was able to kind of get it together to do.
Okay, Kip.
But yeah, no, I'm very much on the same page with him there.
Okay.
I think what makes sense is to, at the very least, what you need to maintain RPG therapeutics is going to be the physical materials that are hard to replace.
Yep.
Like those should definitely be maintained.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of those I don't know that you can replace.
True.
So the actual material goods and probably some online programming.
Yep. We've had some clients that have paid through that. Yep.
And I don't know, I'm thinking like maybe doing a virtual museum or something.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
But yeah, I like the idea of scaling back to online for now.
Sure. And also the LLC, the most profitable clients, usually the trailers were involved too.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, online clients and then like reincorporating the trailers as that becomes a possibility.
Yeah. And we still have the Monroe Street office to fall back on. So that's
a
monthly virtual office. Basically, it's $15 an hour to use the space,
okay.
For whatever purpose. That's where all of our mailing addresses will be moving back to if we stay around.
Okay, that seems like the most reasonable. I don't see RPG LLC remaining viable without RPG research in some capacity.
Understood. Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I'm pretty much on board with everything Dan had to say. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John Welker. Oh wait, no, Daniel, did you have your hand up before? Or is his hand just still up from before?
Somebody just put their hand up. I heard a beep.
Okay, go ahead, John Welker. John, you're muted. John, you're muted. You're muted, John.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Stupid mute button. All right. As far as hibernation is concerned, I can only imagine a partial hibernation because we have to keep us in the public eye as RPG research in some manner. If it's just a talk show and other broadcasts, and perhaps going to a convention or two to make people know that we still exist.
Right.
That's what I think is the bare minimum that needs to keep running.
Okay.
As far as RPG research, and then if we focus on making money so that we can keep everything running, that's all well and good, but it really doesn't do us much good if we gain all the money from RPG therapeutics and we have lost so much momentum that we can't start again.
Right. Okay. Elizabeth.
So I have an alternate take on that, which is that sometimes it is better to step away and start afresh rather than keeping up a reputation and a presence that is faded or not well regarded. Um, I think there are some things to be said in favor of hibernation, at least to a certain extent, especially considering the things that Dan was saying, in terms of making sure that the people who are doing the most work and most important are stable on their feet. Um, a refresh is clearly going to be needed in at least some aspects. There are some things where I feel like I don't have some skin in this. For example, the talk show, etc., and things that require physical presence at the moment. Um, I think that even if we did appear to be hibernating or just go off the radar, we should still keep working towards the online training. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I think we should. I think there are some things we should not let drop off.
Okay.
Um, we should keep working on the projects that we can work on.
Yep.
And I don't think we should have our first priority be visibility. If taking the the time out of Hawk's insane schedule to do certain things is going to be enough of a strain that it causes logjams further on. I also just want to you and I, Hawk, when I told you I passed my test, I talked a little bit about uh, the possibility that now that I have the certification, I might be able to help more with the LLC stuff. You might be able to do some more things with that.
Yep.
So I think there are a number of variables that we don't know how they're going to turn out yet. And I'm not saying that this, meeting to vote about this is premature exactly, but I think we are. I think we'll know more about what's really viable in a few months, like once certain things are done or taken care of or more not set in stone, but a
Right.
little bit more better defined.
Okay.
Can I jump in on that?
Katie.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Have you guys? I think Elizabeth makes a good point. About taking the step back. Have you guys spent any time brainstorming a new approach, or just focused on trying to replicate what has gone on before? That might be something to consider seriously.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Thank you, John.
Just quick question about whether or not we would. I mean, I know it's an impossible question to answer, but how long do you estimate a hiatus to be, or hibernation to be? Would it be a year? 6 months to a year?
That's an important question.
I think we're looking at things at a quarterly basis. That we would, for the hibernation one, I think that's related to quarterly. Let me see. Let me go look at that. So that we're talking about vote 3. No, let's. So vote 5. Yeah. So vote 5. Basically, we would keep doing what we could. We'd go into hibernation. We would maintain regular weekly administrative meetings, 1 hour meetings, and maintain our quarterly board meetings, and that would be it. We just go. That's the vote number 5. Go into hibernation while we figure out what to do. We create a written plan, work through the longer term future, brainstorming, all of that. So that would be number 5. Vote 5.
So that could also fit into Katie's suggestion of brainstorming, replicating what's already worked.
Yeah, and keep in mind these 6 votes. We don't have to be constrained to the. If there's a combination that everybody, because if we get unanimous, so much the better. Um, if there's a combo of these six, this was just a first pass based on discussions with everybody. If there's a vote 7 that's a combination that everybody could agree to, then great. But this is the first pass. Kip, go ahead.
So yeah, I think whatever we do, we need to keep in mind that we have less than a dozen people who are active,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a very limited amount of time, all of
Yep.
us,
And that's always
and
been the
energy,
case,
and
really.
yes. But yeah, we don't have a great deal of resources and like manpower and everything to do stuff with, and we can't. It is unreasonable for the core volunteers to be like, all right, well, I can do my 10 hours a week, and Hawk can put in 60, and then it will be fine, because that sucks.
Well,
Like, that's
actually,
Yeah,
not
that's
okay.
not tenable.
well,
No.
60 aside, if I didn't have to pay the bills, I would be perfectly happy doing this for 30, 40 hours a week, and that would be good for me. But that's
Oh, well,
a
same.
separate thing.
Yeah, if I could just do this all the time, sure, but I
Exactly.
do have to
Yeah,
pay my bills.
that's different. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but it's not reasonable to expect you to like carry the lion's share and also everything else you're doing. So when we know that, so like reasonably, what can we do with like less than a dozen people putting in 5 to 10 hours a week? Not a
Quite a bit.
lot.
Well, it started with. First it started with me.
Yeah.
Then John. Then a few others like Charles and Danielle. And you'd be amazed how much volunteers can do as long as you've got the momentum each week. Brooke, go
Sure.
ahead. Oh, sorry, Kip, go ahead if you're still going.
Yeah, I'm still going. Yes, there is, and we can get some stuff done, but we need to
Yes.
scale to a lower level,
Yes.
to a much lower level,
Yes, we have to
and
adjust to
just kind of
reality.
what can we actually do? Just a couple of things
Yeah.
that keeps it extant, and
Okay.
then focus on the LLC, I think. But yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Kip. Brooke, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to wait until folks had spoken about it since I'm not in it every day.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the problem that we've had historically is trying to do too much with too little, and that
Yep.
seems to still be the
Yep.
concern. So I really do think narrowing down, if this is to continue, and focusing on, I think like step one would be the financial stability. So getting out
Yeah.
of the place, making it financially viable, figuring out how to do that, and
Yeah.
then picking one or two things, whether that's weekly training or the talk show or or setting up the museum, whatever it would be, and then easing back into it rather than trying to be exactly what we were before. Pick what folks care about, are passionate about, and are willing to put the time in.
Yeah.
Because I feel like historically we've also brought in volunteers and things feel chaotic, and that might be why it's harder to retain. If people walk into chaos, I feel like it's not as easy to be like, yep, we totally know what we're doing, everything's going well.
Yep.
But if you all are focused and doing it and you do a couple things really well, I think that's easier to move forward rather than trying to do all the things.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brooke.
Good comments, Brooke.
Sorry, didn't need to do that twice.
Anybody else?
Honestly, I feel like I should third that from the very beginning. I've loved you guys, but yeah, there has been a certain, I feel, level of chaos that I've observed it, and that I I feel I can adapt and go with the flow with chaos. I feel having on an organizational level, having certain focus helps.
Sure.
And I do feel we do need to focus.
Okay. And I would say that's mostly my fault. I am the walking whirlwind, as John well knows. I have a million ideas every week, and I act on half of them. And that can certainly, and when we were in an upward trajectory, it was working because we were growing our staff. I was, juggling different departments, and they were working. It was all going very well. And what broke us was getting the community center. That's what broke us, because we had to downsize our staff, and shut down 95% of our programming. So we did get super focused, right? We shut down 95% of what we do and only had a handful of people we kept so we could get the property, and that's really what killed us. And so but as far as the feeling of chaos, that's 100% my fault. Absolutely.
You're not the only person in the group.
Nope.
It isn't just you.
All right.
I'm going to add to. I'm going to take responsibility for my own chaos as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's against my policy to take responsibility for anything, so everybody already knows that.
I'm feeling a little deja vu here. I feel like we've talked positively about focusing in before.
Yep.
And I very much agree that
Yeah.
pull down. Regard what existed 4 years ago as a pie in the sky thing, and start again smaller.
Yep. Well, we have no choice. We have to. We're effectively dead now, so we have to start over if we're going to continue, and that's still
no. If you're going to continue, and you guys have talked around it, quite well, but I think that taking a quarter to sit back and brainstorm and discuss what's the one thing we're going to focus on for the next 3 months, and what is our 1, 3, and 5 year plan. But don't take on more than one focal task until you've got that task hands down solid.
Okay. Thank you, Katie. Brooke?
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to say we vote for things, right? Like, so it's not as if you were totally off in your own world.
Oh, that's
it's
true.
Everybody streamlining and being like, no, we said this is the thing we're going to do. We have to stick with that. So it's not a one-person thing.
Okay, good point. Thank you. Valerie, please.
Yeah, so I just want to say I pretty much agree with what everyone is saying, that it would be good to take a bit just to consider what is feasible with the manpower that we have, what would be the best direction, and just kind of strategize a bit. I do also want to add on to that as far as the BCI RPG goes, if the plan is not a full shutdown, that program needs to keep going, because I worry that if we kill momentum on BCI, it's going to die, maybe permanently.
Yes. And I do have in the vote considering BCI separately in all cases. For all votes, we need to talk about BCI RPG separately, because that has not been a burden and has been successful in large part thanks to Valerie's continuing that each week when I haven't been available, and that it's just been working. It's 2 hours a week to meet and kind of keep moving the developers along, and it's coming along bit by bit. So that's a separate topic. The only way BCI RPG I think gets shut down is if RPG Research is doing a full shutdown. I think for any of the other decisions, BCI RPG will be fine, unless anybody disagrees with me on that, because that has not been a big resource hog. We have a dedicated team handling that, and it's going fine. Valerie, anything else you want to say before I move it to Elizabeth?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Valerie. Elizabeth.
I just wanted to stress what Valerie said about momentum. You can see what's on the screen there. I put other for vote 5 because even if we're not doing output, I don't think it should be full hibernation. I think it should be planning and momentum with training and whatever you're doing with BCI if you need to do the talk show. But I don't think we should grind to a halt on things that we have been able to maintain.
Okay, my only caveat about that is as we try to move out of the center, we have a major resource problem during that transition. After the transition, it's less burdensome, but that this coming 3 months, is going to be very difficult to do anything besides packing and moving and such, both financially and availability of manpower. So that's the only caveat I would give is it's going to be very hard to do both. Not impossible if it's done in a narrow, laser focused way, but that's my little caveat about that.
Well, let me qualify what I said about momentum and like doing
Yes.
projects. This goes back to what Kip has been stressing about people dropping off.
Yes.
Hibernation should not include stopping keeping in touch and stopping checking in.
Yeah.
Um,
Hibernation in this vote was 1 meeting per week and a board meeting every quarter. And
Okay.
we can do variations on that theme, but that's what that vote was saying, is we still meet every week.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty far away from you guys. I do not want to. I feel like I could be, just because of that, despite my intentions and my will, be more vulnerable to drop off. Don't want that to happen.
Understood. We really don't want to lose you.
Yeah,
Any of you. We don't want to lose any of you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. John.
Just to mention what I can keep moving on my own, as far as resources, the talk show, even when we're moving, can be moved to the library. There's a studio there. They already said we could do a weekly show. And again,
Will we run into the same problem we ran into the library before, though, where we lose our slot and then we lose momentum?
No.
Okay.
Because I already talked to them about a weekly show,
Right.
every once a week. So they already agreed to allow a weekly show, maybe more in the future.
Okay.
And we will get an assistant already for that, so we would have additional assistance while we're there.
Okay.
The as far as running games, that can pretty much be closed down. I would still be running 2 games myself when at Uncle's, and I can move the current game that I have going here to Bear Totem. Whether or not they will charge us or not is something we can discuss. I think my players might pay for the charge if that happens.
Okay. Next, anybody else? Does everybody feel like they've said what they are going to say at this point? Raise your hand if you're done. If you're complete. Okay, Daniel, Brooke, John, Valerie, Elizabeth, JD, Katie, do you have any more you want to add?
I do not. Thank you for asking.
Okay.
I'm in rush hour traffic, so I can't raise my hand.
That's fine. That verbal is fine. Okay. So, looking at the current votes on the document, did anybody have any trouble adding your vote to the document? Is anybody not able to? So, vote number 1, I'm looking at the current results, and I do not see a single vote for vote number 1. So, vote number 1 is, do we hurry and shut down all of RPG research in 2024, dissolve the nonprofit and corporation completely, and liquidate, transfer all RPG research belongings to another nonprofit? If so, which organizations? Do we send everything? That involves shutting down the corporate entity, the 501c3 status, charity status, RPG Research Archives, RPG Research Website, RPG Museum, RPG Research Training Programs, RPG Community Programs, including Drop It in RPG, RPG Tour, RPG Conference, RPG Talk Show, RPG Unboxing, Actual Play, RPG Other Shows, and all donation platforms. I don't see any votes for yes on that, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 votes for no, and no abstain or other. So that one seems to be off the plate pretty clearly. Vote number 2, Do we shut down all RPG research programs in 2024 except BCI RPG and RPGresearch.com websites? And in 2025, keep the bare bones corporation and nonprofit alive, but online only and with no other programs? If full shutdown of RPG research, what about BCI RPG? Could this be allowed to continue? Be the minimal cyber footprint legacy of RPG research, etc., etc. There are no yes votes, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 no votes, and 1 abstain vote. Vote number 3. Instead of 2024 shutdown, do we plan to shut down all of RPG research in 2025? Due to time constraints, instead of trying to hurry and shut down in 2024, do we plan to spend the money on 1 more year of administrative existence? Well, that's spelled wrong. Existings. But plan to shut down all of RPG Research 2025, but we need the time to work out the details, so we'll pay for another year of corporate existence to work out the details. There are no yes votes, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 no votes for vote number 3. No abstain and no other. Vote number 4. Do we mostly shut down RPG Research in-person programs as we know them, go to online only and liquidate what we can, but keep the corporation and 501c3 website, etc., and put most into long-term storage and operate at bare bones just online? Similar to 2, but much broader than just BCRPG. It allows keeping our online programs alive, online-based research, online training, online museum. We talked about focus on that. We need to have temperature and humidity controlled long-term storage, which is expensive, about $1 a square foot. Could easily work out to $5,000 a year. We do have some yes votes on this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We do not have any no votes, and we have 1 abstain. We also have a comment from... Yes, go ahead.
I do want to make a note about the liquid, that part of the vote. Liquidation is a very nervous thing for me.
Yes.
Considering that we're going to need that stuff back.
Okay. Then
whatever you sell will probably be required to have back again, unless you're talking just furniture.
We don't know. That's the thing. If you're not comfortable with that, then you should have a no vote.
I'm going to change my vote to no.
Okay. Yeah, if you're not comfortable with at least a partial liquidation of what there is, then that you would not vote yes for that. Go ahead, JD, and then Kip.
I think Kip had her hand up before I did.
Go ahead, Kip, then, please. Go ahead, Kip.
Yeah, sorry, I still had mine up from before when you were taking names.
Oh,
So.
okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead, JD.
Okay, then. I can support liquidating things that we are likely not to use again. I can also support liquidating a few things that we would probably use again that are easy to get a hold of, but I don't know that I could support liquidating things, especially from the museum, that would be very difficult to get back.
Okay.
But otherwise, option 4 is acceptable to some degree.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments on that? Go ahead, Kip.
Yeah, I concur completely on that one. That would be, I wouldn't liquidate things that would be difficult or impossible to replace. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Elizabeth?
Yeah, I abstained because I'm not really comfortable with my state of knowledge about the situation, but I am inclined to agree at least that if there is liquidation, shouldn't be complete, there are definitely things you should keep back.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. And then there's a comment from Emily. This is she didn't know exactly where to put. She's not voting, but she wanted to give her opinion because I asked her to. So some of you know Emily personally. She was my one of my rec therapy professors at Eastern. She was also, I think, Kip's as well, right? Briefly.
Yes.
Yeah, in Florida, and so she's been the head of the rec therapy department, and she's been on our board, mostly an advisory role. And we're really grateful for her input. Um, she also years ago, her thesis and everything was running programs for incarcerated populations and high risk incarcerated populations. So she's been really useful as a resource there too. Anyway, so her comment: I reviewed the document earlier today while weighing my ability to vote. I very much appreciate the various levels of voting options, as a dichotomous yes no seems abrupt and a waste of so much effort over the years. I wasn't sure where to include my comments, so feel free to copy paste the following wherever you see fit for recording purposes. While I'm not sure which voting option the following proposal fits in best, I think at least some online presence of progress to date needs to remain. We all know that there is a paucity of research on this topic, and while it may not be in the form of an official nonprofit, a repository of information would go a long way to benefit the field. So while I feel that I am not in a position to vote on the ground logistics, from an academic research and evidence based perspective, I feel at the very least the continuation of any sort of web based information clearinghouse or repository would be my vote. Above and beyond that, I would leave that up to those who with more knowledge than myself, but my vote would be to at least continue that effort any way possible. All right. Any other comments on vote number 4 before I move on? Or any of the previous ones? Okay. Vote number 5. In 2025, instead of shutting down, we'll go into full hibernation while we figure out what to do. Do we put RPG research in storage, keep the company existing, keep everything we can, but have all programs shut down for now, with only regular 1-hour administrative meetings, and maintain our quarterly board meetings in 2025, where we take our time creating a written plan to work through what the longer term future will be of RPG research? We take our time to figure things this out rather than rush it. Currently, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 yes votes. We do not have any no votes. We do not have any abstains. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 others. So we got Elizabeth, Valerie, Brooke, and John Welker on the others. So if you'd like to elaborate, we'll start with Elizabeth.
Yeah, I think just to recap what I said before, or clarify, administrative meetings, cool. I think that Kip and Dan and JD and I should find a new time. I think we should be. I think that it would be a decent option to hibernate externally while revamping and making progress where we can, or at least, you know, treading water until we restart. I think the Katie's idea of taking a quarter to to reconsider like the process that could happen during an external hibernation, as could some of us continuing to work on the BFRPG, as could the informal training sessions, other things that can be kept going, that are just not externally facing.
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. Go ahead, Valerie.
Yeah, so that was just a slight amendment for me that I would like the BCI RPG excluded from the hibernation if that is the option we go with.
Yeah, and I think can I very quick vote, as long as RPG research isn't being shut down, raise your hand if you're okay with BCI RPG being allowed to just continue as is.
My hand is raised.
Okay, so that's unanimous. So there you go, Valerie. You're safe.
I would also like to just expand it to. I feel like if anything is sustainable on its own, then we shouldn't be shutting it down. That includes BCI. I feel like that would include the talk show as well.
Yeah, that again comes down to, is the company remaining or not before the rest of those decisions can be made. So good, but we've got one there that everybody does agree comfortably that BCI RPG should be treated separately. So that's good. All right.
We don't want to get rid of you, Valerie.
She's been awesome. She really has.
Yeah.
Okay, Brooke.
Brain.
I put my kind of summary in a comment, I think,
Okay.
somewhere. By 6.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, vote for a combo of 5 and 6. Hibernate-ish with set goals for each quarter. Can agree to continue variation of programs, training, BCI, RPG, whichever, but keep it in scope. Whatever will help the core team stay engaged while also balancing the financial aspect. Only expand or grow when benchmarks are met, determined at the quarterly check-ins. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I would like to change hibernate-ish to hibernate externally because I really like that.
Okay. You can edit that. Okay, cool. Anything else, Brooke?
No, that about sums it up.
Great, thank you. And John Welker.
I think it's already been said. Maintain those that can be self-sufficient and hibernate the rest.
Okay. Kip, you still have your hand up? Okay. All right. Everybody's got. Okay. Anybody else want to say anything else on vote number 5 before we move on to the next one? Okay. Moving on to vote 6. Do we stay operational and we just adjust to limited resources while we try to keep going as best we can with the new limitations and try to ramp back up in 2025? Once we pack up the RPG Center, Hawks House is only available for limited storage and only one in-person day per week, likely Sunday, for a maximum of 6 hours. Everything else will have to be elsewhere and or online. Do we try to keep everything going on a weekly basis, figure out the logistics to make it work, and try to ramp up after March 5th, allowing for Hawk to have time to wrap up the training manuals and get the 3rd edition training underway starting around April or so? Not a hard and fast date yet. Votes we have on that currently. Under yes, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Under no, we have 1. And under other, we have 2. So, Brooke, is this just a continuation of your comment or something else you wanted to add?
Nope, continuation.
Okay, Dan.
Honestly, just a continuation. I feel honestly the only thing that I can think of that I would change from that is I know that your house. I mean, I don't mind visiting, but I don't want to impede.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like if it can be handled with a Zoom call, then we take care of that. No one necessarily needs to come by anyone's house unless it's needed for a physical place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else comment on it? Kip. Kip, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't unmute. I know that in the past that you've had your house open for business and whatnot, and for running everything, but I feel like that definitely kind of needs to be your space, and if we can do it outside of that, we should.
Okay.
And honestly, if you're gonna
Absolutely.
have 6 hours on a Sunday, I'd rather we all actually just play a game than conduct business,
Okay.
so that we can have some downtime, because we kind of all need it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Just I just as a remote person, I don't know what it was like before the pandemic. My experience with RPR has been purely remote, and that it's seemed well, except for Spark, but it's I don't know if the location of your house is better, but the community center did not seem to be attracting that much of a physical presence. And less skin than some of you guys in this one, but I know there's an attachment to in-person games, but can reach a lot more people remotely.
Okay. Well, we do know from our research and experimentation and evidence-based, the in-person has more benefit. People
Yeah.
get more benefit from it, empathy, socially, cognitively, etc. So we do know that there is a benefit to in-person as much as possible, especially in an age where people need to unplug more. But you work with what you got.
Yeah.
So it's better to be online and still alive and versus just dead. So
just don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
exactly,
That's all I'm saying.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, we were way ahead of the whole online gaming thing, years and years ahead of everybody else as far as that goes. So that's why we have so much online infrastructure to accommodate that. That's why we say Worldcon and the other conventions, Worldcon and Gen Con from cancellation, because we knew how to make that a palatable experience. Anything else anybody wants to add to vote number 6? All right, I added vote number 7 because it sounded like that's kind of where we're heading with this. Do we need to create a new voting option that will be closer to a fully unanimous combination of the previous 6? So quickly vote on that: yes, no, abstain, or other. Because if that's the majority, then we'll go down that road. Or if that wins out, whatever.
No. I try to update it on your screen instead of actually going to the vote.
Yeah, the shared screen.
I'm not crazy. Or maybe I am. I don't remember.
Oh, what's that song? You may be right.
I may be crazy, but it just might be a lunatic you're
Looking
looking
for.
for. Yep.
They're coming.
Billy Joel
Oh
lives.
my!
What?
They're coming to take me away. Oh my!
What was that, Katie?
Yes.
So Billy Joel lives.
Billy Joel, that's it. Yeah.
Away, ha ha ho. To the happy home.
Okay, I've got 7 yeses and no others listed. Who are we missing? Katie and Valerie? No,
I'm not a voting member. I'm just a mouthy
that's
member.
right. That's right. Well, but you're a major contributing member.
Yes. No. Coming up with another alternative works for me.
Okay. All right. Then let's do that. What it does sound like, let me see if we can do a quick vote on this. It sounds like it's unanimous. We're not shutting down the company. That's off the table. Votes 1 and 2 are off the table. So the vote is, shall we remove votes 1 and 2? Let me put it on here, so that it's easier. Okay, so vote 8.
Do not remove your coats. It's getting cold.
All right, so vote number 8. Do we remove votes 1 and 2 completely? Those were the complete shutdown options. Or actually, let me double check that. Make sure I'm not.
1 and 3, I think.
Maybe it's 1 and 3. Yeah, you might be right. Yeah, you're right. 1 and 3.
You're not
sorry.
removing them. You're just voting them down.
So 1 and 3. Well, I mean, as far as combining. So yeah, 1 and 3.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah. As far as combining, we're not even. 1 and 3. Those are mutually exclusive from any other options, because those are all about shutting down. So if we've got unanimous for that, then that helps us move forward with making more plans. And we don't have to solve everything today. We just need to have a general ballpark of what we're doing next. Or do we still want to consider options from 1 and 3, which involve complete shutdown?
No shutdown. No shutdown.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 9.
Kate can't vote, so out of 8.
Oh yeah, out of 8. Sorry, yeah. Okay, there's 7.
I don't see any HRs on these votes.
Yeah, I hold off for the board to do their thing, and if I need to break things, fine. But I want to let everybody have a free voice, and I'll put in my. I mean, I'm giving my opinion, and I'll vote.
Hawk, we're trying to make sure that things don't break.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like we can go ahead and take shutting down RPG research completely off the table. That helps us be able to move forward. So then the question is between the other options, and I don't think we want to get too bogged down in the specifics tonight. Basically, the short of it is we want to see RPG research continue in some form. It sounds like everybody's generally okay. It's just the degree to which we go into some sort of partial hibernation. We want to keep some momentum as long as it's not overburdening anybody and financially, etc. And we just need to find out exactly what that focus and balance is and how to do it. Does that sound like I'm summing that up reasonably well to everybody? Anybody want to add anything to that?
I kind of got the impression of, everything kind of goes into hibernation with the exception of it. If it's sustainable, we continue sustaining it.
Okay.
And some of those we can use to continue momentum.
Okay.
So, off the top of my head, I could see the weekly training, the talk show, and BCI.
Okay.
Well, how are you doing? Who's doing weekly training?
Me?
Yeah, Dan's been doing it.
Yeah,
They've been.
I would be doing it today, but there's this pesky board meeting in the way.
Yeah. To clarify, there's been a limited amount of actual training, but there has been supervision for at least my games that I'm doing in the community over here. Lots of theory talk. So it's not been formal training, but Dan has indicated that he's a lot closer to ready to hold that. Am I right about that, Dan?
Yeah. So, I figured instead of saying, I'm not ready to train, at the very least, what I've been doing is every week, at the very least, even if it's just 2 of us, we meet and we talk about, okay, what games are we dealing with? Are there any problems? And actually use the theory to, figure out things. And so that when we do get back into training, it isn't like, what we haven't been talking about anything in a while. So we've been doing more exercise and training.
Yeah, but we are in a position to not be trying for a standing jump.
Yeah.
Also,
Are you intentionally writing in all caps? I guess so.
Yes,
You've been doing it the whole time.
I am, yeah.
Another thing that could be self-sustaining, I'm not sure, just to keep this on the table, is that BFRPG, there might be some more room to work on that now that I'm finished studying for my test. So that might be one of the self-sustaining things, not sure, but just to keep it, in mind. Maybe it is redundant or already implied to say this, but if we are only externally hibernating, then a lot of those details can be sorted out over the quarter.
That's what I'm typing up right now.
Yeah.
commend everybody. We've gotten a lot done here in an hour and a half.
Go team.
With any luck, Elizabeth and the people on the East Coast won't have to be up until midnight.
I'll go back to the dress rehearsal. At the rate that we're going, they might still be there when we get out.
So does this count as norming or performing in terms of performing this meeting?
As long as it's not adjourning.
Word.
Well, we may have to adjourn this meeting soon.
We may be able to adjourn this meeting soon.
I hear a metronome?
That's
Yes.
Katie's blinker.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Katie's blinker because she has to make a left turn.
All right. Vote number 9. So it's decided, again, you vote yes or no if this is decided or not, to keep RPG research alive. However, the details of what it looks like, we need to get a very clear focus about within the limitation of extremely reduced staff, finances, and facilities resources. Now that we know we will continue, it's proposed to work on the specifics asynchronously to work out exactly what is self-sustaining or not, which will require going down a list, voting on each program one by one. We won't do that tonight. So I'll create a checklist of all of our programs and which ones appear to be self-sustaining or not, and we'll do a vote on those asynchronously. We don't need to do it during this meeting. Then we can go on with the following plan. 1, continue current programs in December, but shut down any in-person in January and February during our move. There might be an exception here or there depending upon decisions in January. So, like, if you've got the studio at the library, John, then sure, obviously you can continue. Number 2, pack up the RPG Center in January and be fully moved out by end of January or February. Make sure RPG Center very clean. We have to figure out how we maintain the few non-hibernated programs by January through our asynchronous feedback checklist vote. Number 4, we resume weekly administrative meetings starting in January to work out the rest of the details and work out what the plan will be for the coming quarter and work on a quarter-by-quarter planning basis. Number 5, we wrap up tonight's meeting but expect everyone to contribute to the upcoming planning documents asynchronously. That's what's up for vote number 9. Anybody want to talk about that?
That sounds like a good approach to me.
Okay. Anybody want to discuss that?
Not necessary for the vote, but I do want to know when will our weekly meetings be? What day of the week?
We can.
To be determined.
Yeah, to be determined. We don't know yet. We can do that asynchronously. Like when we put up the list of things, we can figure that out.
Okay.
The key thing is we've decided to let RPG research live, and that was the most critical thing to determine. While it may be in partial hibernation, we do know that we are going to go ahead and put some effort into moving it forward. We just don't know all the details yet. Okay. So on yes, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 votes. We have no no's, no abstains, and no others. So it looks like we're unanimous in agreement. Anybody want to comment on that before we wrap up?
Yes, I would like to thank everyone for the vote to not cut me off from like a quarter of my support system. This is an excellent birthday present, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Happy birthday again. I would like to point out that during this meeting, I have had some jerk chicken dropped off to me, and it is a bit spicy but delicious.
And again, if you didn't catch it if you were a little late getting here, Elizabeth is now an official CTRS as of Monday, certified therapeutic recreational specialist. She is
now
our.
we can use
Over in
it.
about 15 minutes.
we're
Also,
wrapping up.
to add on to that, I mean, it's not as significant as that, but I was able to pass my HCA,
Yes. Nice.
Hey.
so it's kind of
Oh,
parallel.
great, man.
Yeah, I don't have to worry so much about losing my position as independent care provider.
That's great.
Wonderful.
So those are and these are the first ones on our team to do this. So they're trailblazers. Go ahead, JD.
I just wanted to say that I see the text messages for our Friday group all the time, and I think of you guys constantly, and I always feel bad that I'm not there.
We miss you, man.
Yeah, we gotta try and talk about the time between people having new schedules and you not having been able to join any of this. We gotta revamp that.
Yeah, I have events every evening except Saturday now, and we're trying to put together a group for Saturday as well. So yeah,
joys of small business ownership.
Yep.
All right, we should talk about Saturday morning and see if that's an option.
We need to set up a California invasion just so we can, or wherever John is, we got to invade his place.
I'm in Cali at the extreme north end on the coast.
Yep. Well, good. All right.
That is not something we discuss. We don't need JD knowing about it.
Oh, that's right.
Is there any other topic anybody else wants to cover before we call the meeting or adjournment?
Everybody watch my talk show.
You mean our talk show?
Copy.
It's our talk show. Yes. Everybody watch the talk show. It's at 6 p.m. Mondays on twitch.tv/RPG Research.
I'm gonna come join one of those one day.
Please
do.
do.
We're planning on kidnapping you one day.
Oh, good. I'm off Mondays.
All right. Any other topics anybody wants to bring up before we wrap up?
I ran a familiar quandary with my 8 to 10-year-old boys today, and they loved it.
Wonderful. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Elizabeth's been running, is it 2 or 3 programs now?
It's 2 at the moment.
Yeah, 2 programs over where she is at in Massachusetts for a while now. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
They're excessively bouncy, but very cute.
And they're about 11 to 12 years old, right?
The boys are 8 to 10. The girls are now 12 and 13.
Okay. Yep.
Speaking of, one of my guys is going to graduate soon from his residential treatment.
Nice.
And I think I'm going to run, he's obsessed with 80s media and tech, and I'm going to run a game of Labyrinth for him.
Oh, so he's probably a big fan of
He's a huge fan.
Ready Player One?
No, like he's a fan of actual 80s media and tech.
Yeah, not somebody's weird interpretation of the 80s. Okay.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, Kip was an intern and is now an employee at Excelsior at the campus up here, the Indian Trail campus. She moved all the way from Florida, and so she's working as a rec therapist there while she tries to finish up her certification as well.
Kip, without naming names, because you can't and I can't, but I know who you're talking about, and please send that Kip my best.
It's not who you think.
Okay, cool.
Still send them our best.
This one's much older, but yes.
Send the one that I was thinking of my best.
Okay.
Anybody, anything else before we wrap up?
Yes, as a form of training, we normally break things up with a joke, so why do paladins wear chainmail armor?
Why do paladins wear chainmail armor?
Because it's so holy.
Exactly.
Oh, very nice.
Should we also end with a question from the NCTRC for Kip?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Do it. We used to do that to Danielle all the time.
All right. All right. What you got?
Yeah, we used to pull out 1 to 3 questions from the cards at the end of every meeting with Danielle.
Yeah, who's got the cards?
You do. They're behind you somewhere.
Oh, God.
That's okay. Elizabeth can do it because she's certified.
I mean,
You
I'm
said she was
certified as well, but I'm
certifiable?
Hey, that was my line.
Wait, what? No, I was like, I know, but actually, I might have the tutorial somewhere.
I mean, at this point, RPG research may just be a shared delusion from a whole bunch of people in a mental institute.
So
What
you're saying it's
year
a multi?
was-
Are you saying it's a multi-user shared hallucination, a mush?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Gosh,
Yes,
keep
John.
going.
Is the official meeting over?
Well, let's call it. Is there any other topic anybody needs to bring to the floor before we call the meeting to adjournment? Okay, I propose that we adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
I have a second.
All right, we call the meeting adjourned at, where's my clock?
6:42.
6:42 p.m. Pacific time. All right, thank you all so very much. Pay attention to the messages for the asynchronous stuff. Probably won't get to work on that till Sunday, but I will set up a document that'll start listing all of the programs, and you can kind of vote thumbs up, live or die as far as hibernation or consider for activity, and we'll whittle that list down. It's okay. We'll go through iterations on that, and then hopefully we can have that done before the end of the year, and then that gives us some clarity what we're going to do in January.
And in whether or not you email that link, you will put it on the RPGSM?
Yeah, yes.
Great, thank you.
All right. Thank you all so very much. Really appreciate everybody's input. It's invaluable, and really appreciate all your work and help and support. And thanks for keeping RPG research alive. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful, happy holidays, everybody.
Yes.
You as well, Hawk. Take some
I
time
hope
off.
everybody
Enjoy yourself.
children survived Krampus Snatch yesterday.
What?
I hope everybody's children survived Krampus Snatch,
Oh,
which was yesterday.
okay. Hope
Okay,
so
then.
too. Be well, everybody.
All right.
Take care.
Y'all have a
Good
great
night.
night.
Dream well.
See
night.
see some of you guys next week.
All right. Take care.
In that time.
Talk to you then. All right. Thank you, everybody.